See, the sun is out. Good things. Think positive. And let me speak quickly before the rain starts. First, I want to thank the chairman of the Wayne County Board of Supervisors, Steve Leroy, who's with us, and you'll hear from him in a moment, and the mayor of the Village of Sodus Point, Mayor Teternick, who I've spoken to a number of times, and all the first responders of Sodus Point and the people of Sodus Point. This has been a terrible situation to deal with. The first responders have had to deal with it for weeks and weeks and weeks. And the businesses and the homeowners of Sodus Point have had to deal with it. Lake Ontario and this increase in the flow and the increase in the height of Lake Ontario has created a major problem for the state overall. You tend to see life from your point of view, and you see it from Sodus Point, but just picture a map. It's all of the northern coast of New York State. It basically goes from the western tip all the way up, right? It's Buffalo, it's Watertown. So this is a significant problem affecting thousands and thousands of New Yorkers. We are doing the best we can. People are working very hard on an emergency response basis. We filled over 2 million sandbags, thanks to the National Guard, which has done an outstanding job. And I'd like to introduce and thank General Shields, who's here, and General Center, who's here. Let's give them a round of applause for what they have done. We also have with us the Emergency Response Commissioner from the state of New York, who has had people on site literally for months, Roger Perino, and I'd like to thank the Commissioner and give him a round of applause. So 2 million sandbags, we have high axle vehicles, we have boats available, we have generators, pumps. We're actually here trying a new technology today, which is basically a portable dam, which you fill with water, and it can expand to 4 feet high, 9 feet wide. So it is basically a portable seawall, if you will. And if it works, it could have a significant benefit for many homeowners, many businesses in situations like this. We're testing it now because if it works, I want to be in a position to go to the state legislature and make an acquisition of the product before the state legislature leaves. The state legislature is out of session next week, and that's why we're testing this. It basically is a replacement for all those sandbags that we've been putting up that help, but they don't really stop the water. And you take a situation where the wind comes up and the waves come up. You have homes all across the shoreline, businesses all across the shoreline that have been getting devastated. So we'll cross our fingers, but we hope this product makes a difference. We also have remediation efforts. The state is funding a homeowner repair program, homeowner grant program, where a not-for-profit organization will work with you to get the home fixed. Up to $40,000 in damage will be reimbursed by the state if your insurance company won't pay for interior and exterior damage. We have a small business relief program, up to $20,000 for small businesses that have damage or loss of income. This is going to be devastating for hundreds of businesses. You know, there are businesses who this is their whole season. Tourism, boating, recreation, this is it. Restaurants, bars, etc. And if you take this tourism season from them, their finances for the year are gone. So we want to be in a position to help them. Long term, the IJC, which is the board, the body that is charged with regulating the water, they're upset that I say that they blew it, but I think they blew it. You know, they have the authority to regulate the water in the entire basin area. Yes, there was a lot of rain, but that's why they have the flexibility to set the regulations and the limit. And they should have seen this coming. I believe that. Now you can say, well, hindsight is 20/20, but that is their job. Their job is to track the increase, to track the flow, and not get into the situation that we're in now, because now it's an impossible situation. Now they say you're between a rock and a hard place, right? They don't want to increase the outflow because they don't want to damage the commercial shipping on the St. Lawrence. But meanwhile, you're decimating homeowners and businesses. So my position is very clear. I'm the governor of New York. I represent the homeowners and businesses who are getting crushed. I say increase the flow. Let the shipping deal with the increased flow. They can. They're professionals. That's what they do. But dealing with increased flow for shipping is a lot easier than dealing with 6 feet of water in your basement or on your first floor, right? So I hope the IJC gets it. I hope they learn the lesson here and they realize that the answer is before the problem happens. If you wait for the problem, it's too late. Once you get here, it's too late. This should have been done over the winter. This should have been done before the April rains. This should have been done before you get here. So I really do believe that they did make a mistake. It's costing this state tens of millions of dollars. It's crushing homeowners, it's crushing business owners, and it can't happen again, period. We're also concerned about local governments and the burden that they are under. This is damaged infrastructure for local governments all across that Ontario border. I spoke to Mayor Teternick a couple of weeks ago. It's done the same thing in Sodus Point, where it's damaged the infrastructure. I told the mayor that I'd rather the state reimburse for the damage to the infrastructure, because if the state doesn't pay, it's going to get passed on through property taxes. And the last thing we can do is have any increase in property taxes, because that is the worst tax in the state of New York. We're already off the charts in property taxes. When you ask people why they're leaving the state of New York, they'll say it's the property tax, highest in the nation. So I worked very hard to get property taxes down. I'm pushing very hard right now to local governments to work together to reduce property taxes, what we call shared services. But the last thing I want to see is property taxes go up because of this emergency cost to the infrastructure. So I told the mayor the state is going to reimburse him for what he has spent. And I'm here to tell the mayor today his cost so far has been about $500,000, and the state is going to pay that $500,000, and we'll pay anything as an increase. You know, whatever it is on the homeowners' damage, the state will be there to help. Whatever it is for small business owners or local government, the state will be there to help. And let me leave you with one thought. There is something to this extreme weather, and everybody has their own theory as to why, but it's undeniable that we are going through extreme weather. This is the highest record lake volume in history. We had 7 feet of snow in Buffalo. Now, Buffalo knows snow, but Buffalo has never had 7 feet of snow. We had Superstorm Sandy, Superstorm Irene. We have had twice the number of natural emergencies that my father had when he was governor in twice the time, okay? I've had double the amount in half the time. So there is something that's going on. But the silver lining is this. The beauty of the response on behalf of the people of the state. Because they have such a natural sense of being a good neighbor, a natural sense of support. And I've been all across the state talking about what's going on up here. And their first instinct is, whatever they need, we should be there to help. And when Buffalo had 7 feet of snow, the rest of the state said whatever Buffalo needs. When Long Island got hit by Hurricane Sandy, the rest of the state said whatever those poor people need. I saw the pictures on the news. Their houses are flooded, whatever they need. So on behalf of the people of the state of New York, I want to say to you, whatever you need, the state of New York will be there, because that's what the people of this state want. That's who they are. We're a big state, we're a diverse state, but at the end of the day, we're one state, we're one community, we're one people, and we respond like one family. One side of someone in the family has a problem, we're all there to help that person in the family. So whatever you need, we are there. We'll be here. Financially, we're there. From an emergency point of view, we're here. We understand what you're going through. You're in our thoughts and prayers. But more importantly, we're here, we're on the ground, and we're not going anywhere until this is done. And the IJC will hear it loud and clear, and they're going to hear it loud and clear from me over and over and over again. Our administration is going to hear it from me that we need our appointees, our U.S. appointees, have to understand what they're talking about. They should live on the Great Lakes. They should understand what the volume is all about. I'd love to see New Yorkers on that board so they understand what it means for Lake Ontario when it gets this high. I'm sending a letter to the Army Corps of Engineers. I'm asking them to accelerate a permanent break wall along the waterfront, because this will happen again. And I don't want to hear from the Army Corps of Engineers that they need 10 years to do a study. We don't have 10 years. We know there are situations that work. You can bring in rocks. You can bring in what they call caged rocks that set up a seawall. But I don't want to hear that this is a once-in-a-lifetime situation. I've been told this is a once-in-100-year situation, about 5 times a year. It's once in 100 years. My bet is something like this happens again. I want to prepare for it now so the damage isn't extensive. And I want the responsible parties to step up to the plate, and I want them to do their part. The people of the state have your back, but the IJC, the Army Corps of Engineers, the federal government, they have to do their part too, because we didn't cause this problem. We shouldn't pay for it, and we shouldn't endure the pain. With that, let me turn it over to Supervisor Leroy. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor.
Thank you.
I want to thank Governor Cuomo for taking the time to come to Sodus Point today and witness firsthand the terrible damage that's taken place in our community as a result of this flooding. There are those who will argue that this is merely the result of excessive precipitation. I don't disagree that rain is the source of all this water. However, in accordance with Plan 2014, we entered into the spring season with nearly a full lake, and when the rains came, there was no place for the water to go. The IJC makes no apology for causing this devastation, since it's clearly outlined in their plan to flood 64,000 acres of land surrounding Lake Ontario. New York State has been a critical partner in our efforts to address the flooding by supporting our elected officials, our affected homeowners, and our local businesses. Governor Cuomo has been a great ally in providing additional resources and personnel to be dispatched to affected communities and to authorizing financial support, we just heard more of that coming, to those who have been impacted by this disaster. New York State agencies have worked closely with Wayne County forces, town and village forces, and local residents to help us effectively respond to the immediate challenges before us. I'm sure this lake level issue will be ongoing for some time to come. But no one could ever expect that the people of our community should have to deal with this kind of devastation into the future. especially when we have the ability to prevent it. Again, I want to thank the governor for joining us here today. I want to thank him for the help he has provided, and I want to encourage him to continue standing with us to prevent this kind of man-made catastrophe from ever happening again. It's my privilege to introduce another important partner in this, Mayor Chris Turtnick.
Well, first of all, thank you very much, Governor, for coming out here. This is a small community, but to us it's a very important community, and we love it. And I'm very, very pleased to see him here and join forces with us to overcome this obstacle. The flooding has taken a big toll on his businesses here. Some businesses, I hear, they're down 75% of what they would normally do up to this point. That's devastating. It's also devastating to the homeowners that had the damages. It's devastating to the sales revenue that is generated here during the summer that goes to the county and state and us. So it is a big, big hit to us. Tourism is down because of the flooding, and there's a lot of homes with a lot of damages. And now we received help from the governor now, and he's announced programs beforehand, which we'll try to take advantage of. Will help the homeowners to get some money. We can, of course, I love what he just said a little bit earlier about the $500,000 for our infrastructure for the sewer system. We definitely need that. We learned a lot during this flood as far as what happens when the water goes up this high. It hasn't been this high before, so we learned new things. And with that, we're going to go and fortify things so we won't have to deal with such a catastrophe in the future. And I want to thank the governor wholeheartedly on behalf of the citizens and residents of Sodus Point for coming here and helping us out. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor, Mayor, why don't you join me up here? Any questions for myself or the supervisor or the mayor?
Governor, the current legislation excludes property owners earning more than $100,000. They have to build seawalls looking at $30,000, $40,000 in expenses.
Yeah, we started the homeowner recovery program. Obviously, it was designed just for this situation, and it's going to evolve as we go on. I'm talking to the legislature about it. It's a balance. We want to help people who need help, but at what income level do you stop reimbursing people? And obviously that's a controversial issue because a lot of taxpayers, $100,000, you're making more than most people in this state, so at what point do you stop reimbursing? And that's something I'm talking to the legislature about. But you'll see these programs evolve over time.
Is it harmful to have some federal lawmakers, Congresswoman Louise Slaughter being one of them, who says that Plan 2014 has absolutely nothing to do with this?
Well, look, I think you get caught in a game of semantics, all right? The Plan 2014 said the IJC must regulate and has the ability and the power to regulate the volume of the water and the inflow and the outflow. Well, it was the rain. I know it was the rain. Nobody's saying, the aliens came down and brought the water. It was Mother Nature. We get it. It was the rain. But you knew during the winter that the lake was high. You knew before the April rains that the lake was high. I believe, I'll repeat the quote, that they hate. They blew it because they didn't release the amount of water when they could. And now they're in a jam. They are in a jam because now they have to choose between upsetting the commercial shipping industry by increasing the flow on the St. Lawrence or keeping the level high where you're endangering homes. I say for me it's an easy choice. I would much rather the commercial shipping company learn how to deal with a higher rate of flow, which they can, than the situation we're dealing with, because there is no answer to a flooded home. There is no answer to a business that people are not walking in the door because the parking lot is flooded, right? So my advice to the IJC is very simple. Increase the flow, keep it high, get the lake down, let the shipping companies deal with it. I also say to the IJC, you should have never been in this situation in the first place, because you had the ability to regulate it. You should have done it when you had the window of opportunity, and they had their feet in cement, and they waited until they got into this situation, and now it is too late. They should have acted sooner. I believe that. Now, they can say, well, that's second guessing, that's hindsight. Hey, first of all, people do that to me every day, right? We know now. But that is their job. That is their business, is to regulate the flow. And I believe they should have done it sooner.
Governor, you're the governor of New York State. This is Canada and the U.S. If you get to the people that are up there, it'll do something about it. I know you're trying.
Are you talking about God, the big guy? Tell him to stop the rain?
You know, and I appreciate what you're saying and everything, but you're our governor, which is great, but it's, I call them the jerks, the people in Washington,
Yeah.
the people in Ottawa.
Yeah. Well, yes.
They're the people.
Well, look, we need, I said this before, we have U.S. appointees on the IJC. And I think we need U.S. appointees who do a better job of taking care of the U.S. and particularly New York State. I'm not saying it's just the Canadian appointees. I'm saying it's all of them, and to the extent we have U.S. appointees, then we share the blame. That's the truth.
How do we get our federal government to understand it?
I think they get it. They get it. I've spoken to our federal representatives, and they get it.
Where are they today?
I don't know where they are today, but they know about this situation.
That's what they care about us right there.
No, do you think the IJC has learned from this year, looking forward to next year? Are they going to anticipate high water levels, and what can we expect for the future?
Well, I hope they have learned. You're exactly right. I hope they have learned, because we can't go through this again. But I can tell you this, we're going to be keeping an eye on it. And we see the level is high and they're not doing releases, then we're going to let them know about it at the time.
Any other questions of members of the media?
Okay. Young lady, and then we'll go.
Governor Cuomo, the IJC, as long as Plan 2014 is in effect, we will get flooding every year as long as there is enough water to flood, because we have not reached their trigger levels yet. Their trigger levels do not kick in until long after we're flooded. So, is there anybody working on getting Plan 2014 taken away? We don't want it. We will get, as long as there's enough, whether it's caused by rain, whether it's caused with not letting enough water out, we will be flooded every year, because we have to reach a certain level, and that level is flooding.
I agree 100%. The key from our point of view, from New York's point of view, is what level, where do you set the trigger to release? And it has to be a level that doesn't flood New York. That is our main point. Thank you very much. Thank you.